Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the How Can I Help series. Today's session is It Looks Like You're Working on Your Resume. How can I help? Before we start, I have a few quick things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We ask that you be kind and respectful to everyone, including our speakers. We want the reactor to be a place everyone feels welcome. Please ask your questions using the live YouTube or Twitch chat. We will be taking a look at those throughout the event today. In the chat, we'll also be sharing some links to the Reactor Meetup page and monthly newsletter if you're interested in looking at what other sessions we have coming up. If you haven't done so already, please check into today's event using aka.ms/reactor check-in with event ID 14483. I've shared that in the chat as well. Today's session will be added to the Reactor YouTube page in about 24 to 48 hours. And finally, we'll share a link to the Reactor survey. If you have a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your feedback. And I will now pass it over to Chloe and Gwen.
What a treat.
What a treat. You know, my dad watched our most recent episode and he said, I was like, what do you think of the show, Dad? He said, that song is a jam. And I couldn't agree more.
What kind of energy we need today?
We're back.
Yeah, like clockwork here. Best part of the week, hands down. Easy winner there. Excited today. We got a fun one. We got some makeovers, right?
Makeovers. Literally wrote a tweet and misspelled a word, and I'm resending it now that says live now doing makeovers. We kind of teased this on our first episode, of course, but I love giving makeovers of the resume variety. It's the former recruiter in me speaking, of course. But welcome to the show. Welcome back to How Can I Help? If you look right
Episode
above,
3.
Episode 3.
Can you
Look
believe
above
that?
Gwen with little clippies giving us it looks like you're working on your resume. How can I help? Yeah. Can you believe episode 3? seems like just yesterday we started on episode 1. Let us know in the chat if this is your first time joining. I see Mike in the chat over on the opposite side of the world in Australia, I believe. Always here. Mike is our number 1 fan. But
I
let us
love
know in the
people who keep
chat.
coming back.
Right? Like,
It's
and
so
let
great.
us know why you're joining. Like, do you just love the song? If so, we don't blame you.
Obviously, that's a given.
Are you here for resumes specifically? Did you join us for our LinkedIn stream and you just had to come back for the resumes? Do you love makeovers? And this was clickbait from Twitter. Let us know. Tammy says, this is my first time.
Oh, welcome,
How
Tammy.
exciting. Tammy, we're so excited to have you here. Yeah, let us know what brings you here, because we truly, and Gwen, you can attest to this, we really format the stream around y'all. Like, when we originally brought up this idea, we're like, it's like office hours for us. Like, we're like, ask us all the questions. Like, we want to contour this session around you. While I correct this typo in my tweet, Gwen, do you want to tell the lovely humans tuning in what the stream's all about and what we do here?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned a little earlier, this is episode 3 of our series where this season, so for this month of October, we're covering cover letters and resumes. So kind of like the things that you need to prep in order to apply to the jobs that you're interested. Chloe and I were in tech, but hopefully, there's some resume tips in here that can apply to any field, right?
Yeah.
We've covered our first stream. We sort of just, talked a little bit about our experiences with resumes. I showed my resume from, I think it was like 3 years or so ago, which turns out wasn't that bad. Just needs a little styling, right?
I've seen a lot worse in my day as a recruiter. I've seen some 10-page resumes. I've seen some very oddly formatted resumes, but I think that's kind of like the cool part of this show is, we both bring our experience from, of course, interviewing for engineering roles, as well as many other roles in our life. But yeah, the whole thing is we want anybody watching this, either if you're in tech or maybe similar to Gwen or myself, you want to make the transition into tech, we want to help make that easier. Open the door. We've even volunteered to whiteboard with y'all next season. That's how much we like you. Okay.
I can't wait till that. It's a great season. Our goal is to sort of take you through the trajectory of what getting a job in tech would be. So getting everything ready next, getting prepped for the interviews and stuff, and who knows what we'll cover after that. But yeah, when we sat down to plan everything out, we're like, we got a lot of stuff to cover.
We want to be the stream that we wish that we had when we were just little baby junior engiooers. Like, how do I whiteboarding? Like, what? How do I? What is this?
What's a whiteboard?
Oh, why? This is my second time. Greetings from Vancouver.
Shout out Vancouver.
I remember you from last time. Love Vancouver. I bet is it snowy there? I bet it's kind of snowy in Vancouver right now. Resume. Yes, the resume stream, which we kind of talked about resumes last week, because I feel like LinkedIn is kind of like a living, breathing virtual resume in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
But for anybody who hasn't seen our previous episodes, definitely check out this link up here and down here, actually. This nice little what is this? A desk plaque, and on the shelf, I almost called a shelf a cupboard. That link will take you to our YouTube playlist where you can watch all our previous episodes where we cover, oh my gosh, like what we've done in our previous lives. I talked about my time as a recruiter, and I'll be giving lots of fun resume tips from Chloe the recruiter. I should have brought up the pictures of me as a recruiter with my big sock bun and my statement necklace. Truly was a different time. But just people can go back and watch episode 1 to learn a little bit more in depth about our backgrounds. But before we dive in today, do you want to give your quick little
elevator pitch? Yeah, for sure. Because there's new people, and I love when new people join. And hopefully you'll stick with us, because there's a lot that we want to share. Even
Beach.
as in,
we've got Long Beach, West Coast, all over the place.
Anyone from the East Coast? I don't think I see anyone checking in from the East Coast yet, but let me know.
Bristol? Is that Brisbane? What's Bristol?
I don't know.
Sounds cute. Sounds like a Muppet or something. I love that. Greetings from Canada. We've got a lot of Canadians. I've been watching.
That's like second person checking in from Canada.
I mean, RuPaul's Drag Race Canada just premiered season 2, and I've been really enjoying all of the poutine references in there. Philly in the house. Okay.
There we go.
Reese.
We got Florida.
First time here, Portland. Nicole,
New York City.
Andrew. Oh my gosh, everyone. Florida. Oh my gosh, wish I was at Universal Studios right now for right. We were just before this stream.
Night.
Gwen and I were.
Oh
we're
my
hyping
gosh,
up.
we saw.
We're watching. What is it? Oh my gosh, Halloween Horror Nights. The scary haunted houses in Orlando. Wow, Brisbane, Australia. I knew it. I need to go to Australia. I need to go to Brisbane.
Oh, it's like a nickname for it? That's awesome.
That's so
yeah.
Cute. Toronto. Oh.
Now we know that. Toronto, 2 people from New York City, East Coast, Long Island. What? Let's go.
A big Canadian and New York fan base, and we love to see it.
Love it. Egypt.
Ooh. I feel like this person joined last time too. Egypt, all over the world. This is a particularly exciting episode, y'all, because we have so many people in the chat joining us from everywhere, but we also have a special guest today. But no spoilers yet. First,
we'll get to it.
Let's get into our who are we? What do we do? Gwen, take it away. Who are you? How'd you get here on this stream for Microsoft Reactor?
Absolutely. Like Chloe mentioned, we did do our first episode. We went sort of like a lot more in depth on who we are, how we got here. But my name is Gwyn, cloud advocate here, based in New York City. Been at Microsoft for about 4 months. I'm a college dropout, so no formal degree or anything like that. Pretty much self-taught, YouTube University. I worked my way up into tech, help like retail, help desk, sysadmin, cloud engineer, training architect, and now cloud advocate. I have a YouTube channel if you're interested in sort of cloud computing videos, and all the stuff that I do with the Reactor is also available there. I love sort of creating technical content and getting more people into tech because yes, you do belong, even if you have a non-traditional background. There are plenty of us in the field. And welcome. We're here to share as much as we can. And Chloe and I, we're pretty good friends too. And we happen to work on the same team. So here we are.
Yeah, I send Gwen a lot of memes on Instagram during the day. Make sure you're following Gwen on Instagram and YouTube, y'all. Like truly amazing content.
Thank you.
Also, I chose this shirt for the stream today because we're working on resumes. It says, "To whoever took my Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word."
You have a lot of good Microsoft swag. I need to get on your level.
I mean, it's quite a collection. I also have my Helvetica hat on because we're working with resumes today. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so like I love this stream because we just bring such different perspectives. My dad even mentioned this, who knows nothing about technology. As far as my previous job history, my first job was at the Disney store. I worked in retail a long time. I worked at J.Crew. I worked at Sephora. I was a children's birthday party entertainer. I was a recruiter. I was a virtual personal assistant. I was an executive assistant. I was an office manager. I really did a lot of different jobs. I was a summer camp counselor. All of these different things, though, have helped me in one way or another. I didn't even mention I did musicals. I was an actress and I did that for a long time. But a really cool thing, Gwen, which we'll get to on the show today, is as an actress, I was such a nerd about my resume. Like I got such a joy and a thrill. This is probably why I ended up in recruiting for a little bit, for like updating my resume, putting all the experience in shows and special skills on there and whatnot. So this is really like I'm oddly nerding out about this episode today because I love to give resume makeovers. Used to do them for all my friends in college. But yeah, I come to Microsoft by way of a boot camp. I admire people like Gwen who are self-taught. I so wish I could have been self-taught, but I needed structure and format and accountability more than anything. And this lovely, thing where I was just like, hey, this coding thing sounds cool. I want to try it out, has led me to a really fun career here at Microsoft. Of course, worked at a couple other companies before that, and we will see that on we're going to be sharing some throwback resumes today. And we will be introducing our guest here in a second. But before we do, oh my goodness, we have Cape Town joining us. Welcome, Rory from Cape Town.
Cape Town, awesome.
New Zealand. Alex, welcome. Also, Andrew, I love this. I need help, y'all.
Same.
Just like in general, I do. But we're here. Andrew, what do you need help on specifically? Let us know what it is about your resume you need help.
Yeah, we want to help. Let us know.
How can I help? The name of the show. We planned that. Okay, my resume in a bad way. Okay, well, let us know if you want to perhaps DM Gwyn your resume and remove the contact info. We might have a little extra time at the end of the stream
Just
to
give some
go over
quick tips or something.
But we have a lovely volunteer today who I'm going to introduce in a second. But before we do, I'm going to give Chloe's former recruiter tips and tricks about resume. And we'll get to a lot of them like throughout the stream. But let's start from the very beginning. Gwyn, what do you think is like the number one resume tip? Just like try to take a guess. I feel like you know what this is.
Length.
Ding, ding, ding. I wish I had set up my stream deck to do like a Windows sound that we keep promising we'll do. Length, absolutely. So I bring this up because it's been my experience as a recruiter, even as someone who's interviewed people at previous companies, that we would get candidates sometimes who would send an exhaustive list of every single job they had. And trust me, if I did that with my resume, if you take a look at my LinkedIn, it would be about a 10-page document. The way that I like to think about this, Gwyn, and I guess this is me putting on my actress hat as well. So imagine you're an actress. Let's pretend you're auditioning for Grease, the musical, and you're auditioning for the role of Rizzo. Do you think that it is relevant to the people that you're auditioning for to have a play that you were in elementary school? Like, probably a little not really relevant, right? So I bring this up mainly to say I've seen this before, and I see this, of course, if you're a student or you're a new grad or maybe you're new to the industry, you're not going to have as much stuff to put on your resume, correct? But be really careful about oversharing. Like the big theme of today is going to be sharing what's relevant and also sharing it in a way that best highlights you. Like you may have a different resume for a sales engineering position than you do, a DevRel position than you do a junior engineer position. I used to have like 2 different versions of my resumes, which we will jump in with our guest. We've got a very fun throwback Chloe resume to share from, I believe, 2016 on the show today. But before we go any further, let's bring in our guest, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. My computer has decided to perish, and now I am back. Okay. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Vamp. My computer's freaking out. There we go. Okay. So, see, my computer was just like so excited for our guest, y'all. Okay, so this is a very exciting guest, a brave volunteer to let us give them a makeover live on the show. We promise we won't roast you. Welcome to Jaflet. Hello.
Woo! Applause.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Sound check. Can you all hear me clearly?
Can hear you perfectly. My computer is having a meltdown, but you sound great.
Okay, awesome.
Jaflet, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are a Microsoft student ambassador. Are you a gold ambassador, I believe?
Okay, it's literally 11:30 p.m. over here in Nigeria. I'm Jaflet. I'm a gold Microsoft student ambassador from Nigeria and a computer scientist. I love advocating, love talking about Microsoft's Power Platform, Azure technologies, and literally being part of communities and helping people, get started in their tech journey, get jobs that they desire, which is literally the reason why I was motivated to be on this call, because I've literally had to be with students a lot of persons who are going into tech or probably trying to get jobs, and then they feel like, oh, I've not done enough. My resume is just scanty. I remember reviewing someone's resume some months back, and the person literally had an empty resume. And the big question that ran through my mind was, have you been able to accomplish anything? While you were in school, probably, did you accomplish anything? So what stops you from including all of those accomplishments in your resume? upskilling yourself. There are lots of things concerning resumes, CVs that people are really skeptical about, and I really believe, I trust that with you and GPS on this session, we'll be able to sort all of these out and make them bold enough to apply for this session.
Thank you for believing in us. And you brought up such a great point, Jefflet, which is the biggest tip that I can give someone, and I usually give this about writing a bio, like if you've ever had to write about yourself in a speaker bio or talk about yourself, it's sometimes really hard to talk about yourself in a nice way. That seems so mean, but like Brendan North here, the comment, not doing enough, wait, get out of my brain, couldn't agree more. It's so difficult sometimes to talk about your own accomplishments. And I think that's such a great point. Like to be able to talk, it's first of all, great that you're helping people with that. Like we have to give you applause for that. Being a great community member at MSA by doing that. But Gwen, have you ever run into this as well? Where like, you're like, what did I do? And how do I talk about myself?
Absolutely. Like, obviously talking and writing down great things about yourself, but it's also like, I think we're so quick to dismiss our experience if it's not like 100% tech related. And you brought up that point too. It's like, well, you've done things in school, you've done projects and stuff like that. And a lot of that is important. And it's more about like how you can structure it to be on your resume versus like, well, let me not include it at all. Right. But like a lot of that could be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to do this, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time. But I thought we would start out this fun little session by sharing the ghost of resumes past. Specifically, Chloe's resume from, I think this is 2016, I want to say.
Whoa,
this was like
5 years?
Fresh out of boot camp Chloe. This was Chloe when she had just learned what Canva was. Let me share my screen here real quick. But this was my resume, and I want to give a little bit of context here, actually, as I put this on the screen. So I was in a very similar boat. Everybody in my boot camp had previous experience somehow as an engineer. They either had interned or had worked in tech in some way. But I felt a lot of imposter syndrome because, someone would take one look at my resume and be like, okay, why is this actress who worked at the Disney store and J. Crew and a summer camp and, worked at all like a recruiter coming to apply for this junior engineering role? So a big part of putting my resume together was getting to a point where I felt like the skills that I was showcasing on my resume represented me as a good potential junior candidate. So let's do a quick tour to resume here. I've got my photo on here, which I would not necessarily recommend. This was because I was an actress and was going out after DevRel roles, so I thought it would be relevant. I've removed my contact info here because I don't want any of you knowing where I live or calling me. But I've got a couple sections here, which honestly, we're going to take a look at my current day resume probably towards the end of the stream. My resume looks pretty similar to this. It hasn't changed much, except I've, with time removed some of these bottom ones. But a couple things that I'll roast myself here, and we can all roast me. Let's all give our feedback to Chloe of the past. So I obviously didn't have any engineering or tech roles at the time. So what I have up here is this project section, which I'll zoom in a little bit more here. This is a project that I made in my boot camp. It was really the only thing I had on GitHub at the time, but I was really proud of it. And I thought it really showcased, all of my full stack education in one place. I have all the tech stack here. And this was something that was recommended to me by my boot camp to put in my resume. I struggled a lot with what to put under work experience because I really wanted to make sure what I was sharing on my resume showcased relevant things to the jobs I was applying for. And to give context, I was applying for junior developer evangelist positions as well. So if you go down here, so I've got my social media, I've got the technologies I worked on. I just graduated from Hackbright, so I had that here. I have my degree, my bachelor's of arts here in theater. I have these down here. I had done a couple speaking opportunities, and y'all, if you are looking for things to add to your resume, if you've spoken at a conference, add that on there. I think that's really totally worth adding.
Definitely.
Especially if you need to fill some space on there. Not that you should think about it as filling space, but definitely relevant. I have on here, I don't have this on my resume anymore. I had that I was an actress because I felt as I was applying for developer evangelist roles, a lot of the job description said, are you comfortable talking in front of an audience of, X amount of people? And I was like,
Yeah.
am I ever? Like, I did this for a long time. So I have that on there. I was an executive assistant, so I really wanted to show, hey, I've worked in tech. I probably even could have put my, recruiter job on here if I really wanted to. And this was a little project that I was building in my free time that I put on here. And I wanted to say that
Ooh, founder.
I felt very uncomfortable putting founder on here. This was encouragement from one of my mentors. They said, well, you made this app, right? And you're like creating it for stage managers and you're monetizing it. You're the founder of this app. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not a founder. What are you talking about?
CEO.
Right? I'm like, maybe Chloe executive, but like CEO, not so much. But I will say that I think having something like this, which I felt really uncomfortable putting this on here at the time. But looking back, I'm like, you know what? I think that had I not had something on here like this, I don't know if I would have gotten. And this is something that, of course, when I got interviewed, I was able to speak to and say, yeah, I'm building this
Definitely.
project that helps stage managers connect with their actors and blah, blah, blah. And it was something that I could speak to as an actress that I had a niche specific thing on. And then this is my favorite thing. And for anybody out there who is struggling to get their resume to one page, this is your best friend.
I was just about to say, this is so good that you've added this. For full list, please see LinkedIn.
See LinkedIn. And this is something I stole from my days as an actress because, like I said, I used to see these resumes from people that would have plays they were in when they were in the 5th grade. And I'm like, girl, no. That we don't need to know you played the little red hen when you were in 4th grade. It's not relevant to today. But I used to have a little section on my acting resume that said, for a full list, see my website. I had like chloecondon.com or something at the time. That was like my theater website. So roast me. What are your thoughts on this resume? We hate it. We love it.
First of all, I love the design, clean, simple, compared to like something that I showed. And what was it, the previous stream or the first one, I think?
Right.
So it's really easy to look at. That's a plus.
Thank you, Canva. Shout out to Canva.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know what? If I just looked at this, I'm like, you're trying, you're trying. You're tailoring it, right? It's not just like, oh, here's just literally everything, right? It's tailored. You put like the most like standout stuff at the top. I love the project, like putting that right up top because obviously we're gonna see that first, right?
Totes.
Yeah, I think this is decent. Are we ranking this? Are we giving it a score, like a 1 to 10? Or
I think we're just like thumbs up, thumbs down. I feel like
thumbs up, thumbs up. I think this is a thumbs halfway up. Is that fair?
It's not a slapper. It's like a.
It's a okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and from my end too, reviews on the CV, I'll say I love the fact that you made it as simple as possible. A lot of persons feel adding so many contents to their CVs make them look more professional. Having a 2-page resume makes you look very professional. They get to respect you more. But I think that's a misconception. A lot of persons feel that way, but it's not really correct. What people actually want to see is what have you done as short as possible. And being able to break this down into a 1-page resume is something I really love. I really love. And like you mentioned, you don't have to include every single thing you have done into your resume. Pick specific roles, try to connect them to the job description, and boom, you're good to go.
Relevant stuff. And
Awesome.
I remember specifically around this time, I had a couple different versions of this resume that I would, pull out for like, I think I had one version for AI and ML jobs where I specifically highlighted, maybe a project that I had worked on with AI and ML. But yeah, I mean, I look at this and I see a young girl very afraid to go into whiteboarding. But I'm not totally upset with this resume. There's a really great question/comment here from Brendan North that says founder, quote unquote, is similar to how I feel uncomfortable putting producer on my resume. It's not a lie, but it's a passion project. It feels like if I'm not going to get paid for it, that I hesitate to list it. Gwyn, I think you probably have some really good insight here with all the content that you do. And I think this is a great point, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you do things like content creation or videos or blogs, sometimes when you haven't done that professionally, it's difficult to speak to that and be like, oh, I'm a producer, I'm an editor, I'm a creator. Like, how did you end up putting that on your resume when you were interviewing for things?
I think when it comes from like just like simply sharing it, having, so like I have YouTuber on mine or content creator or whatever it is, and have like straight up the link to where you can see it, right? Because I feel like if there's sort of like this tangible thing, not tangible, but this like link that they can go straight and just go view everything instead of me trying to explain what I do as a YouTuber. Like, you know, I don't want to put like create and edit videos and things like that. It's like, here are like my top 3 videos that I'd like you that like stand out the most from my channel that I'd like you to view.
Yeah.
Like just put it on my resume. So like using examples of that. And then I think the other important thing is like I would feel comfortable putting on my resume anything that I'm not paid for, but that I'm able to speak to when I'm asked about it. So if it's like some open source project that, you know, I do on you know, spare time, or videos that I make, or anything really like that, as long as I can speak to it. And oftentimes with these like sort of side projects and things, there's a lot more passion, a lot more enthusiasm when you explain things. And I think that that's like pretty important, because that, like, you know, people will be able to see your communication skills when it comes to things that you're not getting paid for. I think it's all useful. You just gotta be a little bit more strategic of how you share it.
Yeah, that's true. Totally agree with that. So,
did we lose Chloe? I think I don't see Chloe here.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was going to ask, what do you think of adding like projects or like just things that you aren't paid for on your resume?
Yeah, so I know a lot of persons really get excited when they see you're able to accomplish things without getting paid. So it gives people the impression that when they get to pay you for it, when you know, there's this monetary value added to it, you would even do better. You know, there's this added motivation to it. So having to add all of your volunteer experiences is also key. Yeah, and would definitely go a really long way in helping out.
Absolutely.
I'm back, y'all. My computer.
Chloe, we lost you.
My computer
Welcome
was
back.
like, not today. Like it's on its last leg. Jaflet, would you mind sharing one more time in the private chat your LinkedIn again? I'm gonna bring that up so we can show it. Yeah, if I leave again, it's my battery is just like it's throwing a little tantrum today. Sorry about that, y'all. What did I miss? We were talking about adding things that you're not paid for, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. And basically it's just a great idea as long as you feel comfortable speaking to it. And if it's something that you're proud, you're going to be like happier to talk about it, and that's going to stick out in an interview.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's a really big question that I got in the days even just leading up to this stream, or just a question that I get in general actually from our Microsoft student ambassadors and from people that I work with at hackathons is, how do I get experience if I don't have experience? Which truly drove me up the wall. And I'm sure this is something that, you know, we've all experienced for our first role. Like all of these job descriptions say must have X amount of experience. And it's like, but I need someone to take a chance on me, please. And
Definitely.
really that's what things like this, things like, you know, what Brendan North is talking about in the chat here. That's the reason why you would want to put something on there that isn't necessarily a job, but is relevant experience. As long as it's relevant and it like ties into what you're applying for. I mean, like, I'm probably not gonna put my job as a children's birthday party entertainer on this resume. But I mean, relevant, definitely some relevant things I learned on the job there, like how to deal with your computer dying in the middle of a live stream. You know, various things like that.
We got your back.
Yeah, Brandon says Bay Area internet said no thank you today. It's my computer battery is just not it's just like the little battery that could. All right. So what I'm thinking, y'all, I've got this lovely and also Gwen, you made a really good point while I'm looking at LinkedIn here. Gwen, are we connected on LinkedIn? I believe
I think we
first
are.
connection. Wow, what a treat.
I think we connected last.
Oh yeah, we connected live on the show. You mentioned like having like a section of your resume that like highlights some videos or specific things. That's what I
Yeah.
love. And we talked about this on the last
The
stream. And y'all can
featured.
check it out. That featured section slaps.
Yeah.
This one right here. Oh, you put some in here. Amazing.
I did.
Look at that. Oh, famous. We love to see it. So why did you choose these 3 videos? I'm so curious.
Well,
Are these 3 your faves?
So the one is about like the thing that I'm, I guess, most passionate about is like getting people into cloud engineering. One is the project that I spend the most time working on outside of work, which is my open source guide to learning cloud computing. And then the other video is sort of like my journey and how like I got into cloud and how I sort of like worked my way into the space without like a degree. And it covers a little bit about who I am and like nothing specific to tech stacks or anything like that. So I feel like you get a complete picture of like where I'm coming from, what I want you to learn, and sort of what I spend my time doing with these 3 pieces. And they're also like the way I make videos, like they're short, so you're not going to need to spend hours and hours watching it. Like you can get a solid idea of who I am with about like, let's say 20 minutes of time.
You know what I've never done, but I would consider doing and wish that I had done if I was a junior candidate, is recording a video of myself, like on YouTube or a blog post or something, and be like, because I always thought, and I'm sure there's a lot of
Like a
people in the
trailer?
chat, like, yeah, just kind of being like, hi, I'm Chloe, and like, here's me, and here's what I'm all about. Because there's only so much that you can kind of get from a resume. And for me, as someone who works in a field that's like video based these days,
Definitely.
I feel like that could be a really cool utilization of this feature, especially for
Absolutely.
someone like our pal Jeff Lett here, who is great on camera. Actually, here's my first piece of advice: put this video in your featured section on your LinkedIn.
You got it
a
now.
Microsoft
Definitely.
video. You're ahead of the game here. Okay, so here's what I think we should do today, y'all. And because we had a great question in here about, let's see, from Tammy. How do you choose which resume template to use? Great question. We will be getting to that, of course, on this stream. There are a lot of really, really great Microsoft Word templates out there. There's things like Canva, of course, that you can use. The really cool thing about Word is like there's some specific, like resume specific things in there. And the link below here, the aka.ms/how can I help links 3 that we'll share in a little bit, actually gives you a lot of really great tips on that. But let's take a little tour through Jeff Lett's LinkedIn, which I'm already impressed by. The cover photo is
Love
great.
that. So clean. Looks really cool.
Is an action shot. I love this.
Nice.
And you're speaking in this image, which I love because you are. And tell us, just to give us a little context here, what type of roles have you been applying for?
Okay, so in past management roles, but recently switching over to advocacy,
Perfect.
speaking and all of that.
Love it.
Amazing. And have you applied for any of those roles yet? And if so, how has your success been so far with everything?
Okay, so I would say I'm still a beginner for applying for advocacy roles. So I've not really applied for any advocacy roles, but hope to apply in future. But using the opportunity before I apply to get as much experience as possible. So it's a lot easier when applying. I can add things to my resume so it's not blank.
Amazing. And I want to make a suggestion to anybody out there, and Gwen, I'm sure you agree here. If you're starting out your career and you're like making your first resume, keep copies of all this stuff because it has been such a joy and a treat to look
Absolutely.
back at old resumes, and not only just for fun, like on this stream, but just to see how far you've come in your career and life. Like it's like a little timeline. That's why I always keep my LinkedIn up to date with every single thing on it, because sometimes I forget. Like I'm old now. I'm like, I forgot where do I work? Where did I work? Oh, this is great. Okay, so you've got developer advocate 8. So we talked on our last episode about how important.
It's a good headline.
This is a great headline. This really says like the type of roles you're looking for. This is going to help recruiters find you with these search terms. So that's really great. Amazing. Okay, we're going down here. Oh, do I want to endorse Jeff Lett for public speaking? Yes. There, I did it live on the air. It's happening now. So, okay,
and something else I just wanted to mention is a lot of things something that would really help is trying to document the things you do along the way. So one thing a lot of persons do is when it's time to come up with a resume, they tend to work on it on an impromptu basis and then forget on key things they have worked on in the past. So what I have learned is all of the sessions, for example, I'm into advocacy or going into advocacy, all of the speaking engagements I have participated in, I get to write them down. So whenever I'm curating a CV for a specific advocacy role, it's easier to get all of those, speaking engagements, I did this, or I did this at this point in time, and bring them together. So I also think it's key. I wish I did that, started doing that a lot earlier. It would have really been great. But this is a tip I'm sharing with everyone else. Who is creating their CV.
You know what so I work with an ADHD coach. I have ADHD, and something that I would recommend to anyone, not just someone with ADHD, because something that I have difficulty with is being able to recall successes. Like, I usually finish something and it doesn't give me enough dopamine literally in my brain to like be able to register that. If you keep something called a rainbow list, which is literally, I even got this tip from a lovely coworker and manager on our team, Ashley McNamara. Keep just like a Word doc or just like a live, living, breathing document, an email even to yourself, where anytime something cool, fun, interesting happen, maybe you get really nice feedback, maybe someone tweets something really nice to you, maybe a manager shares something with you, put that all in one place, so then you have that to go to when you're like, what do I do? Like, am I good at my job? Like, I don't know.
Absolutely. It's a solid idea.
And okay, I'm gonna go through. Let's scroll. Oh, we got the featured. Amazing. Look at this. Okay, tech community, cool, amazing. Okay, already killing it here with the links. We've got Imagine Cup. Cool.
Love it. Look at this.
Great. A photo. I didn't even know you could add stuff like this in here. Microsoft, you have here that you're a Microsoft student partner. Amazing. Because again, this is like everyone's opportunity to just humble brag about themselves. Like, this is the one time in life.
It's the point. You're supposed to do it here. Like,
yeah. You're like unabashedly just like, I'm cool. Here's why you need to hire me. That's kind of the nice thing about LinkedIn. Very active on LinkedIn. Great. Got the about here. Okay. Developer advocate, C#. Great. Strongly believes that everyone, when given access to the right tools and opportunities, can build and innovate mind-blowing solutions to change the world. I love
this. Short, sweet, but you cover everything. Your mission is in here. The stuff that you've worked on is in here. I love this. This is perfect.
What is great about this, and truly
easy
to read. I can tell you, as a former recruiter and as someone who like looks at candidates for roles like this, I haven't even gotten to your experience yet, and I'm already impressed because I'm like, this is very professional. This
polished,
is a professional human. Great. We've got Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Great. You've got here that you've spoken. So this is going to be really great. So another thing here is when you're looking at applications for roles in different industries and specific things you want to do. And I'm sure, Gwen, you must have done this when you started applying for developer evangelist type roles, is look at the job descriptions and see what they're asking for. Because that's going to tell you what you need to work on. Like, maybe you need to like brush up on your Python or something if it's a Python dev role. But also what I'm sure you saw, both of you, as you applied to these roles, is they want a lot of public speaking experience. I'm seeing that here. Speaker. You have in here that you guide students across the globe on their path to building solutions with these technologies. Amazing. Like, that is truly the work of what you would apply for a dev role. Got that you're a technical lead here, so you've got your previous experience. Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed already. Got your bachelor's. Did you graduate already, Jeff Lett?
Yeah, recently did.
Oh, congrats. Woo.
So exciting. We've got your volunteer experience. I'm already okay. You don't need our help.
This is
great. This is so good.
We need your help.
How can you help us is the new name of the show. Let's see. I've got amazing. Google CS facilitator, tutor. So like the tutor thing is great because that says that you can teach other people how to do things. You're endorsed for public speaking by Chloe Condon. We've got, oh my gosh, look at this. Got a recommendation from Aaron. I'm going to write a recommendation for you later. I'm going to be like,
I will too.
This LinkedIn's great.
This is fantastic.
You've given.
That's great.
Okay, incredible. So this already looks great. This is already like, you have all of the like stuffing, like when we're thinking of like a turkey, I guess. Like,
Yeah, you
like
have everything you need. Yeah.
everything
It's
is
just
here.
about putting it together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brendan North says here, oh hell, how have I not put my public speaking skills? Absolutely. Like,
Absolutely.
being able to speak and speak to what you're working on, oh my gosh, such an undervalued, like, good thing to have on a resume. Ooh, let's see. We've got, okay, cool. Oh yes, rainbow list, absolutely recommend the rainbow list. I'm catching up on the chat here. Should I include my photo in my resume? Does that
That's a
provide
great
too much
question.
information? We talked about this a little bit on, I feel like, one of our last streams, but I do put my photo because I'm weird. And because of the nature of the work that I do, it is very forward facing. And at the time I was doing a lot of kind of on camera stuff. And also I think it's just the former actress in me. No, you do not need a photo on your resume. I would encourage folks on LinkedIn to provide a profile image of themselves, even if it's, a cartoon or an avatar or something, just to make you a human, real person. But I don't think you had one on yours, did you, Gwen? I don't think you did.
No, I didn't, but I think it's pretty easy for them to find what my face looks like because my YouTube was on there, and also like my LinkedIn was available if they wanted to. So it's not to say that if you remove your photo, you're not gonna because I know they mentioned something about a bias. But yeah, I didn't have it directly on there. I just don't. I feel like it just takes up space, in my opinion.
What I'll say is really nice, and actually I've experimented with this myself in working in customer support, because that is a great point that you make about bias, Gwen. When I used to work in video game customer support, oh my god, I didn't even mention that previous job on my resume. Back in my day, we would very intentionally change our names to gender neutral names. So in my case, I think I chose one like Jude or something like that. And based on how the person chose to respond, like, you could tell sometimes they were acting like I was a woman, sometimes they'd act like I was a man. That is like a really interesting way. Like, obviously if you have a name like Chloe, kind of obvious that you probably identify as female. But I think that, the thing about resumes that's really great, like, the way to think about your resume is it's the only thing that's in the room when you're not there, like, or the computer or whatever it may be. So as long as it's a representation of who you are, what you do, what you stand for, which, again, just like, you're already killing it here with the resume. I cannot believe how good this is. But I just, for funsies, while we were streaming here, where did it go? Did I put it back here? Who knows? I went over here because if you go to your own profile on LinkedIn, as my dad calls it, LinkyDon, there's actually an option to build a resume. So you can go in here and literally, and this is what I would recommend for you, Jaflet, because like, you have all of the
everything in there, yeah,
everything that you need. So from here, you can either upload a resume or create from profile, and you can literally just kind of like drag and drop based on what you want to do. So like, let's see if I skip this section, and this creates a resume for me, and then I can just kind of like edit this as need be. Of course, my LinkedIn is very verbose and has a lot of info in it, so I probably wouldn't want to give this to someone. It is very, very long. But I was curious, while we were talking earlier, I was over here and I saved this as a PDF, and it actually is like a pretty handsome looking resume. Like,
wow, look at
right?
this.
I didn't even know this was a thing. And I was
Wait, you can upload a resumes for people to download?
No, this is literally just like, I think this is, you can go to anybody's LinkedIn and you like, let's do Donna's. Let's just do it for fun. We'll tell her later that this is also a great LinkedIn. But I think if I just like go to anybody's LinkedIn I click save the PDF, this is probably a great feature for recruiters when they get a candidate in, they don't have a resume, and they're like, let's show, oh my gosh, look at this.
What?
Puts all this stuff in here. Actually pretty nicely formatted. I mean, it's too many pages, but like,
there's a lot in there, but it's a great starting point.
You could totally just like do it that way. But honestly, truly, we're not just being nice here, Jaflet. Like, you have everything done already. All you need to do is just like find a template that you like and copy and paste it in there. Like, the meat of the sandwich here is like done. We just got to put some bread and a little like toothpick in it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. I'm gonna look in the chat here. Actually, do you want to answer some questions in the chat real quick, Gwen, while I open up Microsoft Word here?
Absolutely. Let me go. I know we had a couple up here. I want to go actually all the way here to the top. And Allison asks, oh, hi, Allison. How do you split out what should be in a portfolio and what should be in a resume? So I think I mentioned what I kind of do is, so for my YouTube, I have like, 60 videos or whatever, 60, I don't know how many I have now. And I have like a bunch of GitHub repos that I work on and stuff like that. Resume is just going to be the top stuff, the stuff that like really stands out the most, or I guess if we're thinking of the concept of tailoring, what matters the most to the actual role. I'll put a couple of examples of that kind of stuff on the resume, and then I'll have the link to a full website, full LinkedIn, sort of what like Chloe showed at the beginning, somewhere there too, so that I can check out more stuff. But it's really like, I think of my resume at this point, obviously because I have a couple of years of experience in the field, as sort of like the highlight reel. I don't know if anyone else has any tips on that.
So I totally agree with you, because for me, for example, I have multiple resumes for multiple roles. So it's not the resume I would use for a developer advocacy role that I would also use for a programs management role, because there are different requirements, there are different things they want to see, or a community manager role, So having your resume being specific to the role, the requirements in that role is something that's key. Then your portfolio is just like a general place, so you have everything. It doesn't have to be specific. Every single thing you have done, every project you have worked on is on your portfolio. But for your resume, we just want it to be specific to that particular job that you're applying for.
Definitely, tailoring is really important. There's this other, hold on here. I lost the question that I wanted to bring up or comment. Bishop says, holy, I think this is in response to like being able to generate PDF from LinkedIn, which I had no idea. I feel like last episode where we did LinkedIn things, I was just mind blown, but now I'm even like, I can't believe all these things are a thing. This has been really good to get y'all insights on resume building. It's been a while since I've had to sit down and do my resume. Definitely going to take your tips in for building the resume up. That's the thing about resumes. I feel like it's, and Jaffa, you were mentioning this, how if you keep track of everything, or if you constantly keep it updated, then when you actually have to sit down and work on it, you don't have to like think back, oh, what did I do 6 months ago? What was I doing? Like, what was that actual job? Like currently my resume isn't up to date. I don't have my previous role or my current role on there. I have them just like listed as like companies and roles, but I don't have like the description, because I'm just like, what did I do? Even though my previous role was at the beginning of the year, right? So yeah, I think maybe like, would you all say that you keep your resumes up to date, or is that something you want to do or should be doing?
Okay. I feel like the way that I think about this is my LinkedIn is an exhaustive list of every single thing I've done ever in my life, and anything I like baseline, always add it to LinkedIn just for my own sanity. Like that's my single source of truth. Kind of similar to what we're doing here today with Jaflet's LinkedIn, right? And I don't know if you all saw, but in the background I was clicking in here and I'm in the LinkedIn resume assistant here. And we've got this question from John Papa in the chat.
The one and only.
Should I put that I love Disney on my resume? John, I was literally talking about your love for Disney right before this stream. So this resume is for you. We're putting developer for amusement parks and arcades. But I think like truly, like when you think about what you should update, I would say each time that you share a resume with a recruiter, you want to, of course, I think we should just state this. We haven't stated this yet. Always send it as a PDF. Don't send it as an editable format, ideally. You want to send it as like the final version. And what's really cool about that is if you save that to OneDrive, if you save that, even if that's in your email, I think today to find that old resume that I had, I went through a bunch of old, like, I'm applying for this job emails. Then you have all these kind of versions, right? Like of different pieces in your life. Oh, no matches found for developer and amusement park and arcades. Okay, back to the drawing board. Sorry, John. But
I totally agree with you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And something else I also wanted to mention is, whenever it's important that you have to craft out your CV using softwares like Microsoft Word instead of having to make use of, there are online softwares that all you have to do is just input the things you have done and then it creates the CV for you. I think and I believe you should type those things out. Make use of Microsoft Word. You already have sample templates, type them out, because there are some softwares that recruiters use for checking your CVs, and these softwares do not accept those type of resumes. So, for example, if I'm creating a resume from another website, whenever it's uploaded on that ATS, it doesn't get uploaded. They also they have an issues viewing it and all of that. So it's important we make use of Microsoft Word. Don't get scared of typing. Type out your resume. Type out the things you have done. It's lots easier that way. Send them in a PDF format. It's lots easier.
Yeah, we
Oh
got
my
this
goodness.
comment from Ravi there about ATS systems. I don't know, Chloe, do you have any insight into that as your time as a recruiter?
Yeah, so here's the thing, y'all. And I say this as a former recruiter. There is such a long way to go with like good ATS systems, like truly, and I think we've mentioned this on the show before, the amount of times that I've been filtered out by recruiting softwares. Like
Definitely.
I can, they are in the hundreds. Know that this is a pain point for everyone. There is no resume that works perfectly except for maybe just like a bare bones Times New Roman, and even then it doesn't like collect it correctly. I used to get so excited whenever I would apply for a job that used the tool Lever, I think, because it like literally saved a version of my resume and I could just point and click and go and do it. But just know that that's just, it's a super annoying part of the job search, that every single job has a different service and thing. Just know that you're going to spend a lot of time probably manually entering on some job application websites. It's very annoying. Okay, we're going to probably go a couple minutes over today. There's so much to talk about. I truly could talk about resumes for my whole life, and we may have to do an additional stream, Gwen.
We might. I think we might.
But I wanted to circle back to John Papa's question about should I include that I love Disney on my resume, because I was actually thinking about this before the stream. That's something that was very popular on theatrical resumes, which I do see on a lot of technical resumes as well, is like a special skills section. And I know Brendan North is probably laughing, who's in the chat right now, because as an actress, that would be something like, I drive stick shift and I can snowboard, like things that you would maybe have to do in a commercial, right? Or like speaks with a British accent. But I actually think that, there is kind of a time and a place to put like special interests and hobbies. I like to put that on my portfolio site. So since you have like a limited amount of real estate with your resume, maybe don't put it on your resume, but definitely like on your website, like add a whole section about how you love Disney. Like I had someone that I mentored who loved Dolly Parton and like built a Dolly Parton app and had like a whole Dolly Parton section of her like portfolio, which I thought it brought a lot of charm and told me about the person. But look at this. So I went into Resume Assistant, which I've not used before, and I just typed in developer, and it already gives me this example here for worldwide developer relations. So it's like giving me examples of like how to put this into my resume, which is really interesting.
Wow, that's cool.
Had not seen this before. You can click on see more examples. And it also even shows me like top skills for this type of role that people are featuring. Let's see, war game event developer. So like footwear developer for kids. I mean, literally absolutely everything and anything in here. Oh, thanks, Sean. Yeah, there's so much like I feel like in order of like specificity, like resume is the most specific to that role. The LinkedIn is like everything about your job history, and then the portfolio side is like that's you.
Everything
like
you
that's
do.
your fun creativeness. Oh no. Okay, I'm back. My computer. Inception. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. Oh my goodness. John Papa, if you're watching, I think I need a new device.
Apply with LinkedIn is a heaven sent button. Yes. I remember when applying for roles and when apply with LinkedIn was an option, I was like, yes, less work for me. Oh, you're on mute, Chloe, I think.
My computer
There we go.
is throwing a tantrum, y'all. That's so true. Like I just remember, and honestly, this says so much about the company as well. Like if the application process is seamless and very easy, I'm like, this is great. If it's a really, really bad recruiting software, I'm like, this is a red flag sometimes. Because the amount of time that I spent, because I must have applied to like 100 jobs a week when I was a junior dev, like, because it's truly a numbers game to get your, foot in the front door as a junior dev with nothing on your resume. And the amount of times I would just scream in the living room and be like, ugh, and my boyfriend be like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I have to input my resume again into one of these things. Ooh, yes, this is great. Resume partial history.
It's a great one-liner. CV full
history. What does CV stand for? Like, what is it? What do we know? I've always wondered that.
It's
Ooh, yes. LinkedIn notifying you about roles when they're posted is awesome. I agree.
You can set up alerts depending on roles that you're interested in, right?
Yeah. You can even get emails sent to you, like a digest of them every day, which is really great. Something I also really liked about LinkedIn, and I promise LinkedIn isn't paying us to say this is genuine love for LinkedIn, is on some of those applications that you do through LinkedIn, it shows you where you are at the process, and it shows how many other people have applied for it. Like, there's a lot of really interesting data now.
And it tells you like you're in the top certain percentage of people, or you have the top this amount of skills like
so
that
cool.
you need or something like that. Yeah,
because
definitely.
I actually think I shared this on our last episode. There's a blog that I wrote called "Don't Ghost Me, Bro" about recruiters ghosting me. So I always appreciated recruiting software that told me where I was at in the process. Like, even if it's like, your resume has been reviewed, I'm like, great, a human has looked at it. Like, that's a sanity check on my end that this has just been received. Oh my goodness, so much that we could cover in one stream here. Any final thoughts? I mean, just that we didn't like by hand put your resume together, but I have full confidence that, like, given
you got it.
A Word doc template, a Canva template, and truly, Gwen and I are here to help. Message us on Teams, on Twitter. We will 100% give a second set of eyes on your resume. But you have such strong experience for a developer relations role. Like, I wish I had that kind of experience when I was applying to dev roles for my first role.
Yeah. So something I would like to really appreciate is both of you coming together to make this happen. I'm very sure all those who have attended this call have been able to get insights into, how to craft out their resumes, things they need to add, things they do not need to add. Like you mentioned, we wish to had more time to, do this, talk more about this. Maybe we could get on another stream to talk more about it, then start crafting out a resume, from scratch or with what we have already on LinkedIn. So a lot of persons can get really comfortable with coming up with their resumes. It's not really difficult for them, and all. But again, thanks so much for having me here. Thanks so much for
we'll have to do this
bringing
again,
me on board. Sure. I'm glad to share the little I know.
Thank you for being brave. Awesome. Our first guest ever. We love you. We adore you. We will reach out to you because Gwen and I were talking about maybe doing an additional stream because there's just so much to cover on resumes that we didn't get to.
Yeah,
we're already 7 minutes over. I have one last question in the chat here, and we'll go to our amazing music. This is, before we sign off, Chloe, can you speak to which days of the week you think people should apply for jobs? You teased that, and I'm dying to hear your take. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought this up, Brendan. So as a recruiter, here's my hot tip. You heard it here first from a previous recruiter. My tip to all people that I mentor and just that I use myself when I apply for jobs is I never apply on a Monday or a Friday. This is why. Or on a Saturday or Sunday. Because Mondays, typically, in the workforce, we come to work, we're going through a full inbox. It's a busy day. Typically, like that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday part of the week is a little less busy. So like, this is just kind of a thing that I've developed in my own brain over time. I always try to apply midweek. Fridays are not a great, like, obviously, if you're currently employed and you're interviewing, the tendency would be, I'm going to apply on the weekend. I'm going to apply on a Friday. But try to get that resume in during midweek. That's my hot tip as a former recruiter. Because Friday's happy hour in the office back in in-person days. And Monday is like, oh my gosh, it's Monday. I have to get through my inbox. So that's my hot tip. Thanks for bringing that up, Brendan North. I forgot to bring that up. Tuesday through Thursday. Nailed it. any parting final thoughts before we play our amazing music and let Maddie McGuire take us away?
Shout out to the chat for being so active and telling us what CV meant. I love
What did it mean?
Curriculum vitae, some Latin thing Allison said.
Oh,
but we had like 7 people get back to us about that. So thank you all for being checked in and chatting with us and hanging out. And there's so much more to cover, so we'll be back.
So much
like
more.
Clockwork next week.
We're gonna do part 2 makeover edition where we actually do the makeover. I feel like this was like the prep call for prom where you talk about like the makeup in the area.
And then we actually have to do it the next one. Yeah,
I
definitely.
gotta do it. So Jacqueline, we'll call you, or we'll have our people call you.
Yeah. It will be super fun to get another call with both of you to talk more about this. So final words I just wanted to share is don't be scared of creating a resume. Don't feel like you're not good enough. Don't feel like I don't have the experience to apply for this role. Just shoot your shots.
Perfect. Shoot your
go
shot.
for it. Go for it. Lots of rejections might come in, but then as you get those rejections, you get to learn how to modify your resume. You get to work on things, and boom, before you know, you're already having a success story to share, either on LinkedIn with us or somewhere else. So just go for it.
We're definitely going to talk about all our rejections when we do our part 2 on this, because that could be a whole other stream on rejection. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. I'm going to play our amazing music. Thank you again, Jaflet. And we will see everybody next week. And don't forget to check out all our previous videos. We've got these lovely links down below here. You can watch all of our previous LinkedIn. What did we do? LinkedIn, oh my gosh, today's resumes. Everything.
We did sort of like an intro, LinkedIn, resumes.
And today. And next week is cover letters. So join us, same time, same place. We're going to talk all about cover letters. Maybe we'll bring Jacqueline back from that. Maybe we'll have another guest appearance. Alrighty, y'all. I'm going to play this music, and we will see you next week and on the interwebs. Bye.
Bye.